So the Eastern Motor Club organized round of the National Rally Championship, which has been happening. It's been happening in Eastern Uganda for a long time, many years. So most fans and competitors, they know it very well, and it was not anticipated with jitters and anxiety. But they say it surprised me big time. The day two stages set in Bugerere were not the familiar ones we did between 2017, 2018 and 2019. And the spectator stage in Chitegoma on the day one was so beautifully done. Kudos EMC team, led by Clarks of course, Jackson Serwanga and Inokominga. Without exception, in post-rally interviews, all drivers expressed gratitude and participation in the stages. It wasn't clear to me why until the action got underway. So here we bring you our expert perspective of how the rally unraveled and the performance of the different competitors. The weather forecast was dry throughout the weekend in both Busoga and Bugerere. Friday morning was hazy and the day remained overcast but nonetheless dry. The roads on the Kakira Sugar Works Limited Estate were smooth and straight. The rally looked really easy, but no rally is that easy. Okay, there's no rally is a stroll in the park, even on a sunny day. Stage one was like a teaser. At first it looked like most everyone who started stage came out unscathed. Also we thought. Shell V Power drivers, Duncan Wirich Kankane and Joseph Kamia, who were my personal favorites to take the win for this rally. They took the first honors with a stage win aboard their Ford Fiesta Porter. Unbeknownst to them, however, their steering work had been severely damaged in the first stage, which led to them bleeding more than 3 minutes on the next one and dropping from the lead to well outside the top 10. Ponciano Rakataka and Paul Musaz were almost 8 seconds slower than Duncan on the opening stage, which was named after Sekamu 14. Hassan Alwi Jr. and Musa Nsubuga were third fastest, another 5 seconds down from the leader. However, the two back in competition after year-long sabbatical, and now with the new Ford Fiesta Proto, would follow this up with the fastest time on the second stage to go into the lead of the rally as Subaru pilots Rakataka and Musaz remained second. What a return from Musa and Ali. The Ford Fiesta Proto, Ronald Sebuguzi and Anthony Mugamba were slow out of the blocks on the first two stages, but they would raise their pace to almost win stage 3 by 6/10 of a second from Rakataka and Musaz. A stage win for the V-Power sponsored pair would follow on the very next super special stage, and it would be followed by yet another stage win on the other side of the track. By the end of the day, Sebuguzi and Mugamba were a provisional 4th overall, their two stage wins not being enough to lift them onto the podium. Alwi Jr. suffered drive shaft failure, dropped 55 seconds, lost the lead to Rakataka, but managed to remain on the bottom step of the provisional podium. Musa Segawe and Matthias Chega were keeping pace in the Avon 9 and would manage third fastest on both runs of the Super Special to now place second overall, a little under 40 seconds from the leader. Dr. Mustafa Mukasa and Lawrence Mwambazi, who had retired on stage 1, returned for stage 3, but then a stall became a lifetime and they would remain last out of 40. Nasa Muteri and Eddie Mugurusi would suffer a very similar ordeal, retiring before the opening stage. Subaru N10 drivers Oscar Ntambi and Kevin Bebeto were very fast, and in the case of the former, also very flamboyant. Daoud Umar suffered a very costly puncture, losing him 11 minutes on stage 2, but returned to show us style and speed during the remaining stage of the day, which was set in the Sugar Estate near Kitigoma. Kevin Bebeto, still a baby in the CRC, was in a class of his own, sometimes going almost 3 minutes quicker than his next competitor, and even managing 4th and 5th fastest stage times overall. Dennis Bahizi became the undisputed number 2 in this category until unfortunately retiring on the second round of the Super Special. Things have never been tighter in the two-wheel drive category. Edward Kirumira and Monica Birino drove the opening stage like it was their last, and well, it was. They would retire with engine failure. Sam Watendwa and Henry Katerega were only 3 seconds slower, then the fastest on the opener, but then they became rally leaders subsequently when Chirumina's engine gave up the ghost. Ibrahim Lubega was trying, but it was Julius Mukalo who was succeeding in giving Watendo a good competition. Perhaps trying too hard were Dr. Godfrey Seroko and Nasser Ratib. Both rode their two-wheel Toyotas on day one in Kitigoma. Nasser was able to resume, but Dr. Seroko called it a day. Mansour Rubega and Ronald Bekenya also retired on stage 3, but will be back on day 2 to try and pick up some points, although a victory was off the cards. Some competitors got confused by the Kitigoma stage, which was used in different configurations as stage 3, and then also as a super special. Many competitors were clearly reading notes of the wrong stage at the wrong time and would turn one way when they were supposed to turn the other. A night stage had been on the itinerary and the cars and drivers were ready to tackle it. The fans were raving for it. The extra lights had been fitted onto the cars, and some drivers like Duncan Mobiru, who had lost a chunk of time earlier, were looking to the night stage to throw a spanner in the works and to level the field somehow. If the stage ran, it would not be without incident. The organizers mulled over the risks of running this night stage and decided to err on the side of safety. The stage would not run. The cars were serviced again, even if they had not done any competitive mileage from the last service which they had done after the super special. On day 2, Rakataka looked like he was driving a little bit too carefully. Clearly he had put his eyes on Sebulisi, who was also driving very conservatively and was not making any dents on the provisional lead. Musa Segawe's inexperience showed on stage 7 when he went off the road into a wet trench and remained there for a good 15 minutes. The 2024 CRC champion, who was provisionally in second, was no longer a threat to the rally leader. 2025 CRC contenders Walter Chibande and Duncan Katumba drove their Subaru Impreza off the road in similar fashion to Musa Segawe. Unfortunately for them, they were not able to come out of the deep trench and would retire permanently. Kevin Bebeto and Sraj Shambade were left without a formidable competitor in the CRC and would go on to win both. To win all stages on the CRC itinerary and to also win the rally by more than 18 minutes from Odion Tumwegaze and Hussein Mopie. Bebeto, however, trails Ahmed Katete in the CRC standings after 4 rounds. So, in all of this, the rally leader, who was Ponciano Rakataka and Paul Musazi, had forgotten about Hassan Alwi Jr. and Musa Asuru. Hassan Alwi had figured out the early teething problems afflicting the transmission of his new car and would go from strength to strength on day 2. A stage win on stage 6 would be followed by another on stage 7 and another on stage 8, which was a repeat of stage 6. Alwi's performance on the 3 stages, 8:37 seconds out of the 56 that he trailed Rakataka overnight. With two stages to go, the win was just 19 seconds away. He continued driving at this level. Duncan Mowiru and Joseph Kamia's problems continued into day 2 and culminated into a temporary retirement on the penultimate stage. However, they were able to recover, repair, and place the car in line for the power stage regroup, and were consoled with a power stage win and bonus points. They finished in 14th overall. Dawood Umar was both exciting in his new Evo 10 and fast. He posted 4 top 3 times on day 2 and managed to climb to 7th by the end of the event. This was wonderful repayment to the people who fundraised for him. In 5th and 6th were Joshua Mwanguzi and Peter Karule. Both Subaru drivers were driving clean and quietly, not causing any waves in the timesheets, but not losing time either. The Omar brothers, Aliya Sapopo and Wazir, were setting decent times in their old Evo 4, but not enough to cancel out the time they had lost to a puncture on day 1. A broken damper on day 2 put pay to their chances of rising further than 9th overall, where they finished. Ronald Sebugzi was the master of a quiet game, and after Segawe's mistake, He would climb into podium position and hold firm until the end. Alwi was in second, too far ahead of Sebuzi and within earshot of Rakataka's lead. But that was only if Rakataka maintained his calm level of performance. Rakataka is nothing if he's not a fighter. By this point, he had won 2 out of 3 rounds of the national championship and was in the lead when he fell out of the Palomuka rally. He had to respond, and he did, taking back 14 seconds from Alwi on stage 9 and setting an impossible target for Alwi on the power stage. There was no way Alwi was going to take back 34 seconds on the power stage. Of course, barring a puncture or a big mechanical failure. And nothing of the sort happened, and Ponciano Rakataka and Paul Musazi once again romp to overall victory and get right back into the fray for the championship behind Sebuzi and Mugamba. There would be no change in the 2 category as someone tell and Hassan Katerega would go on to win, followed by Julius Semambo and Diana Nagama. Ibrahim Lubega and Robert Katabara finished third in the category after skipping the previous rounds. You have seen all the action, and now let's go to the analysis. On this rally, you could say that conditions were perfect. You can call it a perfectly level ground. The weather remained dry, and by all reports, the roads were really smooth and enjoyable to drive. So this was a rally for the fastest driver. It wasn't not the one for the cleverest driver, not the one for the most careful, not for Swame, waiting for people to drop out. This was you and your car and the road ahead of you. I have to say that this has been the most enjoyable rally of the season so far. But high average speeds also mean that basically retirements were caused mostly by drivers reaching the limit of their driving or their cars. This was the story of Oscar Ntambi and Walter Chibande, who crashed out, as well as Musa Segawe, who narrowly survived. He basically was able to get his car out of the swamp after it went off the road. Punctures and mechanical issues cannot be separated from gravel rallying, and these played a role in demoting drivers in the overall result of the day. These include Didas Masiko, Mustafa Mukasa, Duncan Mubiru, and Eddie Chirimira, who finished, as well as Abbas Sebunya, whose Evo X failed him for the first time ever in Uganda. Trouble in the field notwithstanding, our competitors were on fire on virtually every stage, and those were a fat disappointment, which crushed fans' expectations as well as, pundits. Against all odds, Hassan Alwi Jr. and Musa Nsubuga, driving their Ford Fiesta for the very first time, put down a mega drive. Their performance was fire, especially coming from a car that did not look impressive out of the box. The car was new, but its livery, its stance, the sound it was making were all rather quite ordinary. You would think it was just another Subaru. However, Alwi took the most stage wins of anyone and would have won this rally if not for the broken drive shaft in stage 3. Ponciano Rakataka and Paul Musazi were driving comfortably, perhaps too comfortably, after establishing a margin of more than 40 seconds at the end of day 1. On day 2, they seemed to be coasting until near the end when they realized that Alwi was on course to cancel out their entire leading margin. Ponciano had extra power in reserve, and he unlocked it to beat Alwi on the last couple of stages to put his third win of the season beyond doubt. Ronald Sebuguzi and Anthony Mugamba looked spectacular in Kitugoma and won both runs of the super special stage at the new circuit. Their Ford Fiesta Proto was visibly quicker and agile. On the rest of the stages, however, they did not or could not join the fight for the win and finished 6 minutes off the lead. Sebuguzi continues to lead the championship standings after his 4th podium in a row. But with Rakataka winning every rally that he finishes, Sebuguzi will need to win at least one rally to even out his chances for a 4th title. Daoud Umar and Stephen Bunya were impressive on their Evo X debut. The new car obviously giving them the improved pace, but they also maintained the flamboyant style that they are renowned for. If you discount the more than 10 minutes that they lost in stage due to a puncture, they were good for 4th overall, however they only finished in 6th. Duncan Muiri and Joseph Kamia had a rally to forget. After winning the opening stage on day 1, their Ford Fiesta Proto developed terminal steering defects which had to be managed through day 2. In the end, they seemed to find a solution which jolted the car back to life to win the power stage, which was small consolation for a bad day in competition. Mustafa Mukasa and Nasa Mutebi continue to have a season which is a sorry shadow of their showing last year. Both drivers dropped out for reasons that can be put down to preparation, and when they returned under restart rules, the pace that had them leading the standings at different points last season was really absent. As mentioned earlier, things have never been tighter in the two-wheel drive championship. For a long time, the cars were equal, but it was the drivers who were miles apart in terms of preparation and ability. Not anymore. The domination of the class by Ibrahim Lubega and his Pasua Corolla FX GT are gone. Sam Watenda was always quick, but his car was not prepared enough to handle the speed. That's in previous seasons. Or perhaps Sam did not know where to take it easy. On this rally, Watendwa completed stage after stage without any issues, and on each stage, he would be quickest or second quickest. But this was by no means a victory without challenge. The margins on the timesheets were minuscule, between 2 and 6 seconds on every stage. Mansour Lubega was Watenda's closest challenger in stage. Unfortunately, he had a retirement penalty to contend with and ultimately placed off the podium. Kevin Bebeto is unmatched in the CRC on pace this year. He, however, still needs to find the reliability to be on top at every event. This particular event went well for him and Siraj Chambade, who was sitting alongside the youngster in place of Lawrence Mwambazi. They took the lead of the CRC from stage 1 and kept it, winning all stages and their category overall without challenge. Next, we shall be reviewing the second round of the National Sprint Championship, which took place at Garuga on the last weekend of July.